love yourself, it's so important for us to trust ourselves. It is so important for us to love ourselves. It is undeniably the single thing outside of faith in a higher power that will get us through the days, the weeks, the years, and the months. Welcome to Couch Chronicles. If y'all are new here, join us on the couch. We have conversations about things that's going on in our mind, in our world, or anything that really comes out of my mind to yap during these sessions. We talk about it in the comment section and on all the other platforms I am on, and we really just get into the nitty-gritty outside of our day-to-day lives. So without further ado, let's get into today's chronicle. I used to really think that confidence meant being fully in love with myself in every version that I am and showing up unfazed through every situation that happened to me. And I think as of recently, I'm starting to learn that the more you emulate confidence and what society deems as confidence, it's really about the more that you trust yourself and can show others and as well as prove to yourself how much you trust in every decision, good, bad, ugly, or otherwise. From the youngest age possible, we all learn that confidence is supposed to be this phrase. You must be confident in yourself. You must show up as this radiant young girl who is smart, is intelligent, is wise, is pretty, is beautiful, and knows that she is through every phase of insecurity, puberty, and just the randomness of what it means to be a young girl. And I think up until maybe this year, I realized that I have coached myself in being confident. But it's not like at some point I had it and then I lost it and then I had to regain it back. Because I think as a young child, we're confident in everything that we do because we're getting validation from everyone around us, but we're not thinking about how that validation plays out over life, because the more you grow and the more you grow up, the less and less you get validation and praise over the smallest things, because there's a greater scope of what you're being compared to now. And I think as a little black girl, you also don't realize that there are so many things that you are consistently comparing yourself to that you don't even realize. And that has a play on your psyche, on your confidence, on your self-conscious, on how you show up. But you have to trust in yourself and trust in how you plan to show up in the world to know that you are just as confident as the person beside you, but it's about how you decide to show that to the world. And that is what deems you confident or not. I think that Spelman was probably my pivotal point in understanding what it meant to be seen and not validated, but being seen is also a form of validation. It allowed me to realize that in this big, big world, I should not only be focused on the lens of myself, but I can only compare myself to the goals and who I aspire to be. I think for a lot of time, as a young teenage girl, it was the comparison of your body, of your figure, of your prettiness, of your beauty. There is this beauty standard that's going around that everyone is full of curves and has this body, and we're in a BBL era, but it's how are we allowing this thing that we see on social media to reform what truly is the reality outside of it? When we close Instagram, it is no longer this thing where everyone is big here, or blown up here, or skinny here, or has this angle from this picture, but they're just regular humans living life. And she might go through the same struggles or insecurities as I do, but for young me, I couldn't quite grasp that until I had to come to terms with the fact that it is only important if I love me, not even the guy that I'm with or the girls that I'm around. Whether your friends are saying, oh, you're so tiny, or you're so skinny, or I enjoy this about you, you have to slowly narrow it down to, what do I want to look like? Who do I want to appear as? If you want a little bit of a thicker thigh or a smaller waist or a chiseled face, is that something that you could accomplish in the gym? And once you accomplish that, will it make you happy? Or are you just doing that to fit into a mold of what society is deeming you worthy as? And I think that was a lot for me to wrap my head around, that I had to understand how to determine my own beauty and not allow anyone else's opinion change the weight of that scale. And I don't think I realized that until I had to sit with the fact of like, how do I want to show up as a feminine woman? Because I think that's the word that's being thrown around recently as femininity or softness, or whatever the buzzword is of like the beautiful Black woman that we all see. And I had to look at my mother, my grandmother, all of those people. How do they show up? Okay, what do I want to take from how they show up and emulate into that myself, but what do I want to create for my own self? And I think in deeming and understanding what femininity was to me and making my own definition allowed me to realize that the confidence that I had was always within, but did I trust myself enough that I was showing up as the woman that I hoped to be? Let's sit with that. Do you trust yourself that you are growing into the person that you want to be, and acknowledging that potential and not settling for less, not pushing your boundaries for less, and not disassociating or even pushing away the things that you need to work on to become your best self? And I had to sit with that. Not just on the couch, not just in my journal, not just in the spaces that I was showing up in, but where am I falling short within myself? What do I need to do better for myself to help me get there? And until we can all sit with that question and answer that question, I realized that I could never speak about being 100% confident or speak about trusting myself, because I wasn't doing the work to show up as the self that I wanted to come to you all, come to my family, come to my friends, come to the world as. And until I took a step back, I did the internal work. And at first it looked like the external work of your signature scent, your signature jewelry, the clear skin, the figure, the hair, and all of the things that like we think about. I also had to go in my mind of like, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself and how you show up every day? Lashes or no lashes, brows or no brows, clear skin or makeup, baggy clothes or tight? I came to the realization probably maybe a few weeks ago that I fully loved myself physically. Weight loss without weight loss, big, chubby, chunky, skinny, tight, petite, all of it. Because for a great long point in my life, I didn't even wear sweatpants because I didn't feel like it accentuated my physical attributes enough to deem me as pretty. And when I say that out loud, it sounds insane, but that is the truth of the fact that like I wasn't confident enough. I didn't trust myself enough to show up however I wanted to and be authentically me. The me that loves herself, but not only loves herself, she loves herself enough to do the work even when it's hard. To grind, to internally understand the childhood things that impacted the teenage years, that changed the growth and trajectory of the girl who sits in front of you today, who has to still cater to the girl that may have been hurt by something to become the woman that she wants to be. And I had to digest that for myself. And I still do sometimes when things come up and I'm like, wait, why do I do this? And think back of why I actually do it. What happened to me, to little me, that makes me do this? What happened to grown me that makes me do this? So I couldn't be confident until I figured that out. And you can have lapses in confidence because you can have lapses of trusting yourself. You cannot always feel like you trust yourself, and that is okay. But you have to sit in the uncertainty and know that there is something bigger than you at play to make sure that that uncertainty will bring out whatever it needs to be. There was so much uncertainty in this year, and some of it brought out amazing things and others brought out the worst heartbreaks of my life. But if I didn't lean to that certainty and I just avoided it, I wouldn't have grown. I wouldn't have become. And I think that's what's more important to talk about than confidence, is becoming the new version of yourself when you push yourself through that pain. And pain doesn't always have to look like a bad thing in the fact that you may be crying or sad or depressed or anxious. But it can be that you were happy for a moment, then you sat with what you actually had to deal with and pushed through it and grew through it. And that's all that truly matters, is that you grow through it and become someone on the other side, and that we don't deem or dictate our lives by the mistakes or the accidents or the changes by it, but who we become after those changes. And I think that in those changes, we also have to choose that we are certain within ourselves, even if it doesn't look like that to the outside world. We have to choose us over the validation, the understanding, the okay, I get it. Because there have been so many decisions that I've made where I can recall parents, cousins, family members, friends being like, are you really sure you want to do this? I don't really know. Do you really think? Are you really sure? But if I wasn't trusting in myself, how would I have gotten here today? How? How would I have gotten here today if I wasn't really sure? And I think we all have to challenge ourselves to remove all the layers of everyone else's outside noise and sit within ourselves and be like, what do I really need? And even if this isn't what I need, am I okay with this being a part of my story to build my character arc? I talked to one of my profiles the other day, and she was amazing. She's such a wonderful person. And she was talking to me, and she was just like, I didn't start what she was referring to for it to be my end all be all, but a part of my journey. Nothing that we do is so final that it cannot change. It's more about the fact of, if we are willing to set time aside, if we're willing to do certain things and allow it to play out in our lives, however that may be, are you okay with it being a part of your story, or do you need to do something to shift and change so you don't have that as part of your storyline? Because one moment doesn't dictate your whole life. It doesn't change everything possible. I mean, well, it can, but you decide if it does. And I think that in that decision, it's making the decision to allow something smaller or bigger or greater than you outweigh your belief in yourself. And if you stop doing that, if you stop believing, if you stop nurturing who you want to be, who you are, and who you show up as, it's hard for anyone to trust themselves, to love themselves, or feel confident, because you're giving up on yourself in a sense. And I think as women, as Black women, as young women, we have to always decide to not give up on ourselves. You can have a time where you might have put someone else before yourself, or a situation happened where you're like, ugh, like I just really didn't show up for me in that. But if you did what was right for you and what felt right for you in that moment, then don't regret the decision. Sit through whatever argument or frustration or tears come with the situation and know that you did what was best for you, and that's all that matters. And I think the more that we have these Couch Chronicles, I realize that sometimes we're having conversations, and also sometimes I'm genuinely talking to myself and reminding myself of these things, because there's so much that can go on in my head, in my mind, in my day-to-day, and I never really sit with it outside of my journal. So when you sit and I talk to y'all and we have this dialogue, and I meet y'all in the comments and we have more dialogue, it's like, as much as I'm reminding myself, I'm also reminding y'all, because how can I show up if I'm not also showing up for the people that I love and that I trust and that I genuinely think have so much potential in life for? So much. And I want us to all hold on to that potential, to the dreams, to the wishes, to the hopes, because at the end of it all, it is so important for us to trust ourselves. It is so important for us to love ourselves. It is undeniably the single thing outside of faith in a higher power that will get us through the days, the weeks, the years, and the months. is to trust and believe in yourself, and to love on yourself once you trust and believe in yourself, and to support yourself, and to show up exactly who you are and not change for a single person. And I realized in saying all this, I had said to my friend the other day, like, oh, I'm gonna write a book. And I was like, actually, like, I don't know, like, how I could write a book. Like, I just don't really know how to write this or this or this or that. But that was self-doubt creeping in and me not sitting in uncertainty. Now, will I write a book right now? Probably not. But I can talk to y'all on Couch Chronicles instead. And I think that taking the leap, y'all, is the one thing that I will go into 2026 carrying for the rest of my life is just do. Forgiveness, correction can come after, but take the step to do it first, because if you sit waiting in the what ifs, you will never begin to start, and that is the most important part. Look at me rhyming. But really, y'all, I just think that, like, you don't need clarity to start. You don't need validation to perform. And if you take one thing from today, is to trust yourself, to remind yourself in the mirror, in the car, in the prayer, in the journal, wherever it is, that you have you. Literally say, I got you. I got me. I really do. Because if we don't have ourselves, we can't show up for each other. And I think we forget that so many times. Not just in the holidays or the random days, but also the hard days. That we want to show up for our communities, our families, our loved ones before we show up for ourselves. And that's how we lead to burnout. That's how we lead to breakdowns and more bad days. So if anything, love yourself a little more today. Let me know what is the thing that's hindering you from accomplishing your next goal. I think mine would be, before this, being scared of the time that I already have and not forcefully adding time into my schedule for the things that could take me to the next level. And I know that was a lot, and maybe we could debrief that in the next Couch Chronicles, but that is the single most thing that could prevent me from the next place that I want to be. So let me know what y'all are thinking. I can't wait to talk some more, to debrief and unpack this. And I want to remind y'all that choosing femininity, choosing yourself, choosing a safe space, choosing to trust yourself and love yourself and build with yourself and for yourself is the first step in taking the biggest action to change your life. Because I can only speak from experience, and once I put me first, nothing else came more important than that. I put my faith first and foremost. I put me right after that. I didn't allow anyone's thoughts, actions, decisions to let me stray from my path. They may have hurt me, they may have been happy for me, they may have been whatever. But as long as I was happy for myself and trusting myself and knowing that that thing would allow me to further myself in the direction that I wanted to go, or change path, or make a correction, that's all that mattered. It's literally all that matters. So even when you're unsure, remain true to yourself. And I'll see y'all in the next Couch Chronicles.